The auction house smelled of desperation and illegal spices. Nathan Cole pressed through the crowd, trying to ignore how his height made him conspicuous among the shorter alien species that dominated Korath Station. His contact, a nervous Rilthian with too many eyes, scurried ahead of him. "Hurry, hurry," the Rilthian chittered. "The final lots begin soon. If you want passage through Velen space, this is your only chance. The warriors know the routes. The safe ones." Nathan wasn't comfortable with any of this. The auction house dealt in service contracts, technically legal in frontier space, but ethically questionable. Warriors sold their service for limited terms, usually to pay debts or fulfill obligations. It wasn't slavery, not exactly, but the distinction felt uncomfortably thin. Still, he needed safe passage. His survey mission depended on it. The Colonial Survey Corps had sent him to map unexplored regions, and the most direct route cut through Velen-contested territory. Without a guide who knew the safe channels, he'd never make it. There, the Rilthian pointed toward the central platform where the auction was already underway. "The Velen lots come last, best quality, highest risk." Nathan found a spot near the back, trying to be inconspicuous. The crowd was diverse, species he recognized and many he didn't, all focused on the platform where warriors of various origins stood waiting to be bid upon. Some looked defiant, others resigned. All wore the ceremonial binding markers on their wrists that indicated their contracted status. An announcer's voice boomed through amplification systems, describing each lot in clinical terms: combat ratings, contract lengths, special skills. Nathan felt sick but forced himself to focus. He needed a guide, just a guide. The Velen lots began and the energy in the room shifted. Velen warriors were prized. Their species was known for exceptional combat skills, strategic brilliance, and absolute loyalty once contracted. The bidding became fierce. Nathan watched 3 Velen women get purchased by various factions, each going for astronomical sums. His expedition budget felt increasingly inadequate. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe he should find another route. "Final lot of the evening," the announcer called, and something in his tone made the room go quiet. "Bidders are warned. This is a maximum risk contract. No guarantees offered. Previous purchasers have not fared well." The woman who stepped forward onto the platform made Nathan's breath catch. She was taller than the previous Velen women, her bearing different. Where they had carried themselves with trained poise, she held herself with predatory stillness, like a warrior calculating threats. Her silver hair was streaked with darker tones that caught the harsh auction lights, creating an effect like shadows woven through moonbeams. Her skin bore intricate natural markings that swirled across her face and down her bare arms, patterns that seemed to shift as she moved. Her elongated ears, the distinctive Velen feature, were slightly asymmetrical, one sitting just perceptibly higher than the other. But it was her eyes that held Nathan transfixed. Golden, flecked with amber, they scanned the crowd with cold intelligence. No fear, no resignation, just calculation. A placard appeared on the display screen: Kira of House Verk disgraced. Combat rating, elite. Strategic classification, master. Contract term, 5 standard years. Warning, previous contracts terminated through purchaser fault. Maximum bid recommended due to liability risk. The announcer continued. "This one's dangerous, buyers. Marked for disgrace by her own clan, refused direct orders during conflict operations. Her record shows brilliance but defiance. Bid at your own risk." Despite the warnings, paddles began rising immediately. Nathan recognized the uniforms: Terracan military, Rilthian merchants, even some human corporate representatives. The Terracan delegate in particular seemed determined, his bids aggressive and climbing. Nathan's contact gripped his arm suddenly. "That one human. She knows Velen space better than anyone. Strategic mind that could plot you through any danger. But look, the Terracan wants her." Nathan knew enough about Terracans to feel cold dread. Their arena fights were legendary, and legendarily brutal. Warriors purchased for them rarely survive their contracts. "She'll die in their arenas," the contact whispered. "Such waste." The bidding climbed. Nathan watched the Terracan delegate bid again and again, his expression eager. Each time the woman on the platform, Kira, remained absolutely still, but Nathan thought he saw something flicker in those golden eyes. Resignation, fear, acceptance. Something twisted in Nathan's chest. Before he fully processed the decision, his hand shot up, paddle raised. The room went silent. The human bids. The announcer sounded incredulous. "Sir, this is a maximum risk contract. The liability insurance alone would cost." "I'm aware," Nathan heard himself say. "What's the current bid?" The announcer named a figure that made Nathan's stomach drop. But when he checked his expedition account, he found he could match it. "Barely, I bid that amount." Chaos erupted. The Terracan delegate spun, his predatory eyes finding Nathan in the crowd. Other bidders murmured in confusion. What was a single human doing bidding on an elite Velen warrior? The Terracan raised his paddle, increasing the bid. Nathan matched it. Back and forth they went, each increase draining more of Nathan's carefully budgeted expedition funds. His rational mind screamed at him to stop. This was insane. He was spending his entire survey budget on this. His career would be over. What was he thinking? But he couldn't stop. Every time he saw the Terracan's eager expression, every time he thought about what fate awaited her in their arenas, his hand rose again. Finally, after a bid that left Nathan with almost nothing, the Terracan snarled a curse in his native tongue and threw down his paddle. "Sold," the announcer said, sounding as shocked as everyone else, "to the human. May the stars have mercy on your foolishness." The crowd buzzed with disbelief as Nathan made his way toward the transaction office. His legs felt weak. What had he just done? He'd spent everything. His mission was compromised. His superiors would be furious. But when he signed the final contract documents, his hand was steady. The transaction officer, a bored Calorian with 4 arms, handed him a small device. "Control chip, standard for high-risk contracts. Allows you to issue binding commands if the contracted becomes difficult." Nathan took it, the chip feeling wrong in his palm. "Your contracted warrior will be brought to you in holding area 7. Good luck, human, you'll need it." Nathan walked to the designated area, his mind churning. He had no idea what he was going to do. He'd acted on impulse, on emotion, on some human instinct that couldn't bear watching someone sold into death. But now what? He didn't want a warrior. He didn't want a servant. He just wanted to prevent something terrible. The door to the holding area opened, and there she was. Kira of House Verk stood in the center of the small room, her wrists still bearing the ceremonial binding markers. Up close, her presence was even more intense. Those markings on her skin were mesmerizing. They really did seem to shift slightly, as if alive. Her golden eyes fixed on him immediately, and Nathan felt assessed, measured, and found. "Interesting. You've purchased my contract," she said. Her voice carried harmonics he'd never heard before, multiple tones layering over each other in a way that was distinctly non-human. "For what purpose?" Nathan pulled the control chip from his pocket and held it out to her. "I bought your freedom," he said simply. "Take this. Go wherever you want. You're not contracted to anyone anymore." She didn't move, just stared at the chip, then at him, then back at the chip. "You don't understand," she said quietly. "Understand what? I'm giving you back control of your own life. That's..." She moved so quickly, he didn't register it until she was directly in front of him, close enough that he could see the individual patterns in her marked skin, could smell something like rain and ozone that must be her natural scent. "You bought me," she said, her voice low and intense. "Now see it through." Nathan blinked. "What?" "Among my people, such a purchase is not ownership. It is a vow." Her golden eyes burned into his with an intensity that made his heart race. "You took responsibility for my life before witnesses. You paid blood price for my freedom. You marked yourself as my guardian in front of 3 hostile factions. This is a binding partnership under Velen's sacred law. Partnership, but I just wanted. Your intentions matter less than your actions. She took the chip from his hand, but instead of pocketing it, she placed it back in his palm, closing his fingers around it. You have claimed me, Nathan Cole. Your name was on the contract documents. You are now bound to me, and I to you, until one of us formally releases the other before my clan's council. Nathan's mind reeled, but I don't want to claim anyone. I just didn't want you to die in Terrican arenas. That kindness, she said the word carefully, like testing its weight, is precisely why the bond holds. You risked your resources, your mission, your future to save a disgraced Velen stranger from death. In my culture, such an act cannot go unanswered. You are responsible for me now. My honor is your honor. My battles are your battles. My life is tied to yours. And if I just walk away, give you the chip and leave, then you shame yourself as an oath breaker, shame me as unworthy of honoring, and give legal grounds for the Terricans to claim we both violated contract law. They could hunt us both. She stepped back slightly, but her gaze didn't waver. You bought me, human. Now see it through. Whatever happens next, we face it together. Nathan stood there, the control chip heavy in his palm, looking at this Velen warrior whose life he'd accidentally become responsible for. His simple act of compassion had tangled him in customs he didn't understand, obligations he never intended, and a partnership he hadn't chosen. I don't even know what seeing it through means, he admitted. It means we learn. Together, for the first time, something almost like warmth entered her voice. You saved my life, Nathan Cole. The least I can do is help you understand what that means. She extended her marked hand toward him, not in supplication but in partnership. Nathan looked at her hand, at her face, at the determination in those golden eyes. Then slowly he took her hand in his. Okay, he said. We see it through, together. The ghost of a smile crossed her marked features. Then we begin. Outside the holding area, the auction house buzzed with gossip about the crazy human who'd bought the dangerous, disgraced Velen. Political implications began rippling outward. The Terrican warlord plotted revenge. But inside that small room, two people from different worlds took the first step on a journey neither had planned, one that would transform obligation into trust, partnership into devotion, and two lonely souls into something neither expected. A family, though they didn't know it yet. The Meridian was a modest ship by any standard, a colonial survey corps vessel designed for functionality rather than comfort. But as Nathan guided Kira through its corridors toward the living quarters, he felt suddenly self-conscious about its cramped spaces and worn surfaces. It's not much, he said, showing her the small cabin that would be hers. I know Velen ships are probably more. It's adequate. She surveyed the room with tactical precision, noting exits, ventilation systems, potential defensive positions. The infrastructure is sound. Propulsion systems are recent model. Weapons, however. It's a survey ship, not meant for combat. Then we must avoid combat. She turned to him. Show me the navigation charts for your intended route. Nathan led her to the bridge, spreading out the holographic maps of his planned survey area. Kira studied them intently, her marked fingers tracing paths through star systems. This route is suicide, she said flatly. Velen patrol territory here, and here. Terrican raiding grounds through this sector, and this empty space, not empty, Corsair staging area. How do you know all this? Strategic training, and I've traveled these routes. She began manipulating the holographic display, rerouting his path entirely. This way, longer but safer, we avoid major conflict zones while still reaching your survey coordinates. Nathan watched her work, impressed despite himself. Her movements were confident, her knowledge clearly extensive. Whatever disgrace had marked her in Velen society, it clearly hadn't affected her competence. Thank you, he said when she finished. She gave him an odd look, thanking me for doing my duty. For helping me, it's what people do. People, humans, you're very soft. Is that bad? It's different. She moved away from the console. We should discuss protocols. As your bondmate, I have obligations that require certain behaviors. You should know them. Bondmate, you keep using that word. It's the translation your device provides. The actual Velen term encompasses more: guardian, protector, honor keeper, life partner. Your language lacks equivalent concepts. Nathan sat down, suddenly tired. The weight of what he'd done was settling on him. Kira, I need you to understand something. I don't want a servant. I don't want someone who feels obligated to me. I just saw you standing there and those terracins bidding, and I couldn't. I couldn't just let them take you. She was quiet for a long moment. Why? She finally asked. You didn't know me, knew nothing of my skills, my history, my worth. You risked everything for a stranger. Why? Because you deserved better than death in an arena. Everyone does. Her ears did something he couldn't interpret, a complex movement involving both tilting forward and back. You're either very noble or very foolish, Nathan Cole. Probably both. Probably. But there was something almost like respect in her voice now. Nevertheless, the bond exists. I will honor it because that is who I am, regardless of your intentions. You can ask me to leave, but I won't. Not until the bond is formally dissolved, and that requires my clan's recognition. And if I just accept it, this bond, then I protect you, guide you, fight beside you, die for you if necessary. She stated it like simple fact. And you owe me the same. Your honor becomes mine, your battles become mine, we are bound. Nathan rubbed his face, overwhelmed. I don't know how to be a bondmate. Then I'll teach you, as you taught me something already. What's that? That humans can be surprising. The first week aboard the Meridian was a study in adjustment. Kira insisted on certain protocols that made Nathan uncomfortable. She slept across the threshold of his cabin door. When he protested, she explained that bondmates protected each other's rest. She tasted his food before he ate, checking for poisons, she said, though Nathan pointed out they were the only ones aboard. She positioned herself between him and the airlock whenever they docked, scanning every stranger with warrior assessment. This feels like servitude, Nathan said one evening after she'd spent 3 hours checking the ship's external sensors for tracking devices. This feels like duty, she corrected. There's a difference. Servitude is forced. Duty is chosen. I choose to honor the bond you created. This is my honor, not my burden. But I didn't create it intentionally. Intent matters less than action among my people. You raised your hand. You spent your resources. You brought me aboard your ship. You treated me with respect rather than command. These actions speak louder than intention. Nathan struggled with it, but gradually he began to understand. Kira wasn't serving him. She was honoring a code that gave her life meaning. The disgrace she carried was clearly a wound, and her dedication to bond duty was her way of proving she still had honor, still had worth. So he adjusted too. He started asking her opinion on navigational decisions, discovered her strategic mind was exceptional. He invited her to share meals with him rather than eating separately, and their conversations became the highlight of his days. She told him about Velen culture, the complex honor systems, the warrior traditions, the way her markings, which she called chaos patterns, marked her as genetically unstable in her people's eyes. They see these as weakness, she explained one night, touching the swirling patterns on her arm. Signs of genetic disorder. My parents hoped they would fade as I matured. They didn't. I think they're beautiful, Nathan said without thinking. She went very still. What? The patterns they look like map coordinates almost, or constellations. Different, yes, but beautiful. Humans are strange. So you keep telling me. But her ears did that forward tilt he was learning to associate with pleasure, and she didn't argue. Their first real test came 3 weeks into the journey. A raider ship intercepted them in what should have been empty space, corsairs, just as Kira had predicted in their original route. They're hailing us, Nathan reported, hands shaking slightly, demanding we stand down for boarding. Kira was already moving, her tactical mind switching into combat mode. Do not respond. Kill the exterior lights. Cut main power to minimal. Let them think we're damaged. That's insane. Trust me, her golden eyes met his. You bought me for my skills, let me use them. He trusted her. What followed was a masterclass in tactical evasion. Kira guided him through maneuvers that shouldn't have been possible in a survey vessel, using the ship's minimal weapons to create interference rather than engage directly. She predicted the raiders' movements before they made them, positioning the Meridian in their blind spots repeatedly. When they finally escaped into faster-than-light travel, Nathan collapsed back in his chair, heart pounding. That was incredible, he breathed. That was basic evasion tactics. The raiders were poorly trained. Kira, you just saved us. I protected my bondmate, as is my duty. But she was almost smiling. After that, something shifted between them. Nathan stopped trying to convince her she wasn't bound to him and started appreciating what her bond duty meant. Kira began relaxing slightly around him, her constant vigilance softening into something more natural. They developed routines. Morning meals together where she taught him Velen words and he taught her human idioms. Evening strategy sessions where they mapped out the next day's route. Late-night conversations where they shared stories, his about Earth, hers about Velen warrior training. My disgrace, she told him one night, came from mercy. We'd captured enemy combatants during a clan conflict. My commander ordered them executed. They were wounded, unarmed, no longer threats. I refused. That's not disgrace, that's honor. Not to my people, orders are sacred. My refusal marked me as weak, unreliable. My family stripped me of status. I sold my contract to pay the debt of shame I'd brought them. Nathan reached out, hesitating, then gently touched her marked hand. In my culture, what you did would be called brave. Showing mercy to enemies, that takes more courage than killing them. Your culture is soft. Maybe yours is too hard. Her fingers slowly curled around his. Maybe. The touch meant something, they both felt it. Not romantic, not yet, but significant. A bridge being built. Their journey continued, and with each day the bond transformed. What had started as his impulsive kindness and her rigid duty slowly became genuine partnership. He relied on her tactical brilliance. She relied on his moral compass. They complemented each other in ways neither expected. When they arrived at a way station 3 months into their journey, they moved as a unit, she scanning for threats, he handling negotiations, both trusting the other to do their part. Which is when everything complicated. A Velen patrol ship was docked at the station. When they disembarked, the patrol officers recognized Kira immediately, Kira of House Verk. The captain's voice carried shock. The disgraced one, you wear binding markers. You've sold another contract. Kira stood tall despite Nathan seeing the tension in her spine. I travel with Nathan Cole, who claimed me by right of purchase and honor. We are bound. The captain's ears flattened. Bound it was. Her voice was tight. My clan will not accept a human bondmate. They will demand you release me, dissolve the bond, admit it was an error. And if I don't? She turned to him, and for the first time he saw fear in her golden eyes. Then they may try to take me back by force, claiming you're not worthy of the bond, claiming I'm still disgraced and have no right to bind anyone. Nathan's jaw tightened. Something fierce rose in his chest, protective, angry, certain. Then they'll have to prove I'm not worthy, because I'm not releasing you, Kira, not unless you want to be released. Her eyes widened. You would fight my clan for me. I would fight anyone for you. The words came from somewhere deep, somewhere true. That's what bondmates do, right? We face things together. She stared at him for a long moment. Then slowly her marked hand rose and touched his face, a gesture of profound significance among her people, he'd learned, a gesture of trust. Nathan Cole, she whispered, you may be the strangest human alive. Is that good? I'm beginning to think it might be. She took his hand as they walked back toward the Meridian, and Nathan realized something that both terrified and thrilled him. Somewhere along the way, obligation had started becoming something else entirely. Something neither of them had planned for. Something that felt a lot like the beginning of love. And their journey was just getting started. House Verk's stronghold emerged from space like a fortress forged from nightmares. Carved into an asteroid that orbited a dying star, its harsh angles and warrior aesthetics spoke of a culture that valued strength above all else. Nathan stood at the Meridian's viewport, trying to control his rising anxiety. "That's your home?" he asked. Kira stood beside him, her expression carefully neutral. "That's my prison. Home was taken from me when I was disgraced, and now we're flying straight into it. We have no choice. The summons is formal. Ignoring it would confirm their belief that you're unworthy of the bond." She turned to him. "Nathan, I need you to understand what we face. My clan will not be welcoming. They will test you, provoke you. Try to make you reject me so they can claim the bond was false from the beginning. They can try. You don't understand. I understand that you're my partner." He faced her fully. "Whatever that means by human or Velen standards. I'm not walking in there to abandon you." Her ears did that complex movement he'd come to recognize as mixed emotions. "You're making this harder." "How?" "By making me care about what happens to you." Before he could process that admission, the stronghold hailed them. Time for words was over. The docking procedure was tense, their small survey vessel looking fragile among the Velen warships. Armed escorts met them at the airlock, warriors whose symmetrical features and unmarked skin marked them as everything Kira was not by her people's standards. "Kira of House Verk," the lead escort intoned formally. "And the human who claims to hold her bond. Follow." The walk to the great hall took them through corridors adorned with weapons and battle honors. Other Velens they passed stared, some with curiosity, most with undisguised contempt. At Kira, at Nathan, at their joined hands which Nathan refused to release despite the disapproving glances. "You shouldn't hold my hand here," Kira murmured. "Why not?" "It shows attachment, weakness. Or it shows partnership. Solidarity. I'm not letting go." She squeezed his fingers in response, though her expression remained carefully blank. The great hall was massive, designed to intimidate. Velen warriors lined the walls, their uniforms marking various ranks and achievements. At the center, elevated on a platform, sat the clan council, 12 warriors whose expressions ranged from cold assessment to open hostility. And at their head, Lord Verk himself. Kira's uncle was an imposing figure, his perfect Velen features showing no emotion as he regarded his disgraced niece and her human bondmate. His ears bore the gold rings of leadership, his uniform displayed countless battle honors, and his eyes, golden like Kira's but without their warmth, missed nothing. "Kira," he spoke her name like a weight. "You return to us bonded. To a human." The last word carried layers of disgust. "I return as required, uncle. My bondmate meets all legal requirements of the claiming. The bond is valid. Valid by contract perhaps, valid by honor. That remains to be determined." Lord Verk turned his attention to Nathan. "Human, what possessed you to purchase our disgraced warrior? What use is she to your kind?" Nathan felt Kira tense beside him, felt her hand tremble slightly in his. He stepped forward, releasing her hand but moving to stand slightly ahead of her, a protective posture he'd learned from her. "With respect, Lord Verk, Kira isn't a tool with use. She's a person. I purchased her contract because she was about to be sold to Terracans who would have worked her to death in arena fights. No one deserves that fate." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. "So you purchased her out of pity." A younger councilman spoke with derision. "Human sentiment for a Velen warrior. Not pity, compassion, basic decency. Call it what you want." Nathan's voice strengthened. "I didn't know about your bonding customs when I raised my hand. I didn't plan to become anyone's bondmate. But when Kira explained what my actions meant, I chose to honor it, because she deserves to have her bonds honored." Lord Verk leaned forward. "You speak of honor while bound to our most dishonorable daughter. She refused direct orders in battle. She showed weakness to enemies. She brought shame upon our house. And now she binds herself to an alien. This is not honor. This is further disgrace. Nathan felt something hot rise in his chest, anger, righteous and fierce. Disgrace for showing mercy, for refusing to execute helpless prisoners. His voice echoed through the hall. In my culture, that's not weakness, that's strength. It takes more courage to show mercy than to follow orders blindly. Your culture, another councilman sneered, is soft, weak. You know nothing of Velen ways. I know Kira. I know she's protected me through 3 raider attacks. I know her strategic mind has saved us countless times. I know she's honorable in ways you don't value but should. Her markings, you call them defects. I call them beautiful, unique patterns that make her remarkable rather than ordinary. Shocked silence fell over the hall. Kira's hand found his again, gripping tight. Lord Verk rose slowly. You speak boldly for a human in our stronghold. You claim our warrior has worth, but words are simple. Can you back them with action? A warrior stepped forward from the ranks, young, powerful, perfectly formed by Velen standards. I challenge the human's claim. By our law, if he cannot defend the bond through combat, it is void. What? Nathan's stomach dropped. Kira stepped in front of him. This is not. The bond was legally formed. Combat challenge is for disputed claims only. And this bond is disputed, the warrior replied. A human claiming a Velen, unprecedented, questionable, I challenge. Lord Verk nodded. The challenge is valid. Human, you may refuse and dissolve the bond peacefully, or accept and defend your claim. Choose. Nathan looked at the warrior, easily twice his muscle mass, trained from childhood in Velen combat arts. Then he looked at Kira, whose eyes were pleading with him to refuse to save himself, to let her go. Instead, he said, I accept. The hall erupted. Kira grabbed his arm. Nathan, you can't, he'll kill you. Then I die defending our bond. That seems better than living after abandoning it. He turned to the council. Will you allow my bondmate to second me, as is traditional? More murmurs. Lord Verk's eyes narrowed. You know our customs. Kira taught me, I've been learning. After a long moment, Lord Verk nodded. It is within tradition. Kira may second you. Kira pulled Nathan aside as the hall prepared for combat. Have you lost your mind? Probably. But you told me once that among your people, actions speak louder than intentions. Well, here's my action. I'm fighting for you. You'll lose. Maybe, but I'll fight anyway, because you're worth fighting for. He touched her marked face gently. Train me, tonight. Teach me everything you can. They were given until dawn. Kira spent the night drilling him on Velen combat forms, showing him how to use his human advantages, different reach, unexpected techniques, willingness to fight unconventionally. He'll expect you to fight like a Velen, she explained. Don't fight like a human, unpredictably, desperately. You only need to survive long enough to force a yield. What if I can't? Then, her voice broke slightly. Then I'll carry your memory with honor. You'll have earned that. Kira. He stopped her, taking both her hands. Whatever happens tomorrow, know that I don't regret it. The auction, the bond, any of it. Meeting you was the best accident of my life. Nathan, I'm probably going to die tomorrow, let me say this. He looked into her golden eyes. You're not disgraced, you're not defective, you're not unworthy. You're brave and kind and brilliant and beautiful in ways your people are too blind to see. I'm honored to be your bondmate. Honored you let me claim you. If I die defending that bond, I die doing something that matters. Her marked hands trembled in his. Then slowly she leaned forward and pressed her forehead to his, a Velen gesture of profound trust and affection. You strange, wonderful, foolish human, she whispered. Don't die. I'll try my best. Dawn came too quickly. The combat circle was set in the training yard, surrounded by the entire clan. Nathan faced his opponent, Curran, the young warrior who'd issued the challenge. Up close he was even more imposing. You're brave, human, Curran acknowledged. Foolish but brave, I will try to make your death quick. Appreciate the thought, but I'm planning to disappoint you. The signal sounded. Curran moved like lightning, trained, precise, deadly. Nathan barely dodged the first strike, his human reflexes no match for Velen's speed. But Nathan wasn't trying to match him. He fought dirty desperately, using every unconventional move Kira had drilled into him. He tackled instead of striking. He used momentum against his opponent. He fought with the desperation of someone who had everything to lose. The clan watched in stunned silence as the human took hit after hit but kept rising. Blood streamed from cuts, his body screamed in pain, but he wouldn't stay down. "Yield," Curran demanded after a particularly brutal exchange. "You cannot win." "Then kill me," Nathan gasped. "But I won't yield. I won't abandon her." He charged again and in his desperation found an opening, a move Kira had taught him, using his lower center of gravity to off-balance his opponent. He struck, not with strength but with perfect timing, and Curran stumbled. Nathan pressed his advantage, fighting past his pain, and finally managed to position himself for a lock that Kira had sworn would work. "Yield," Nathan demanded, his hold precarious but valid. Curran struggled, then went still. After a long moment, "I yield." The hall erupted. Nathan collapsed immediately, his body finally acknowledging the damage. Kira was at his side instantly, her marked hands gentle on his wounds. "You idiot," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "You absolute idiot. Did I win? You won. Against all logic you won." Lord Verk's voice cut through the chaos. "The human has defended his claim through combat, but this proves only his stubbornness. Can he understand the bond? Can he honor it as we require?" Nathan struggled to his feet with Kira's help. Bleeding, swaying, he looked at Lord Verk. "Ask your question, I'll answer. The bond is not merely legal contract, it is sacred trust. Do you understand what you've claimed? What it means to hold a Velen warrior's bond?" Nathan looked at Kira, then back at the council. "I understand that I've claimed responsibility for someone precious. I understand my honor is tied to hers. I understand that her battles are mine, her struggles are mine, her victories are mine." He took Kira's marked hand, holding it up for the council to see. "But I also understand something you've forgotten. She's not just a warrior, she's a person. A remarkable person who was punished for showing compassion. You call that disgrace. I call it the highest honor, and I'm proud, honored to be bound to her." He turned to Kira directly, speaking now to her as much as to the council. "Kira of House Verk, I claim you not as property but as partner. I take your burdens as mine, your battles as mine, your honor as mine. I ask nothing you don't freely give, and I offer everything I am. Whatever your people call this bond, I call it choice. I choose you, completely. Do you choose me?" The hall had gone absolutely silent. Kira's golden eyes shimmered with tears. When she spoke, her voice carried clearly throughout the chamber. "Before my clan, before my ancestors, before the stars themselves, I choose you, Nathan Cole. I honor your claim and offer my own. You are worthy of the bond, more worthy than anyone I've known." She placed her marked hand over his heart. He mirrored the gesture, palm over her heart. In Velen tradition, this was the completion, the mutual claiming that transformed purchased bond into chosen union. Lord Verk stared at them for a long, tense moment. Then slowly he descended from the platform and approached them. The hall held its breath. "You fought for her," he said quietly, for their ears only, "knowing you would likely die. You defended her honor, claimed her publicly, chose her openly. These are not the actions of a human toying with our customs. These are the actions of a bondmate." He turned to address the clan. "House Verk recognizes this bond. The human has proven worthy through combat and through choice. Kira is no longer disgraced. She is bonded to one who restored her honor through his own. This union is valid, sacred, witnessed." The response was mixed. Some clan members looked outraged, others thoughtful. A few, mostly younger warriors, seemed almost impressed. But for Nathan and Kira, standing with hands over each other's hearts, nothing existed but this moment. "You did it," she whispered. We did it, he corrected. Together, you beautiful brave fool, you're beautiful brave fool. Her laugh was watery but genuine. Yes, mine. And there, in the great hall of the clan that had disgraced her, surrounded by warriors who had dismissed her, Kira of House Verk stood bonded to a human who had chosen her completely. Not because he had to, because he wanted to. And that choice changed everything. The weeks following their return from House Verk were a whirlwind of adjustment and revelation. News of their formally recognized bond spread through both human and Velen channels like wildfire. A human and a Velen, bonded by sacred ritual, recognized by an ancient clan. It was unprecedented, controversial, and utterly fascinating to both species. Nathan's superiors in the Colonial Survey Corps were initially furious about his drained expedition budget, then confused about his relationship status. Was he married by alien law? And finally intrigued by the diplomatic implications. They put his survey mission on indefinite hold while they figured out what to do with him. Kira, meanwhile, found her status dramatically shifted. No longer the disgraced daughter of House Verk, she was now the bondmate of a human who had proven himself worthy through combat and declaration. Other Velens looked at her differently, some with suspicion, others with curiosity, and a growing number with something like respect. Your people are staring at us, Nathan observed as they walked through a station's marketplace. They're staring at me, Kira corrected, or more specifically at my markings. After what you said at the claiming ceremony about them being beautiful, there's been discussion. What kind of discussion? Younger Velens are questioning why chaos patterns are considered defects. Some are calling it constellation marking now, borrowing your term. Her ears tilted forward in pleasure. You've started something, Nathan Cole. I just told the truth. Truth can be revolutionary. They settled into life aboard the Meridian, their bond shifting from formal obligation into something deeper. Nathan learned to read Kira's ear movements and skin patterns, how her markings seemed to swirl more intensely when she was emotional, how her ears tilted forward in joy and back in worry. Kira learned his human expressions, the way his smile reached his eyes when he was genuinely happy, how he rubbed his neck when nervous, how his voice softened when he was being sincere. They developed rituals, morning meals where they planned the day, evening conversations where they shared their culture stories, night watches where one slept while the other stood guard, though both now admitted this was less about protection and more about caring for each other. I sleep better knowing you're near, Kira admitted one night. So do I, Nathan replied. Their first kiss happened unexpectedly, 3 months after the claiming ceremony. They'd been mapping a particularly beautiful nebula, its colors swirling in patterns that reminded Nathan of Kira's markings. It looks like you, he said without thinking. She turned to him, golden eyes curious. What? The nebula. The patterns, they look like your markings, beautiful chaos that makes something extraordinary. You always see beauty in me, she said quietly, even when I can't see it in myself. Someone has to. You've been told you're defective for so long you believe it, but Kira, you're not defective, you're different, and different is not lesser. She moved closer, her marked hand touching his face. Nathan. Yes. I think I might be falling in love with you. His heart stopped, then raced. I think I might already be there. When their lips met, it felt like coming home. Her kiss was warm, gentle, carrying the taste of the Velen tea she favored. His arms wrapped around her, pulling her close, and they stayed that way for a long moment, human and Velen, bondmate and bondmate, two hearts finally acknowledging what their souls had known for weeks. Is this allowed? Nathan asked when they finally parted. In your culture, love between bondmates. Love is the ultimate honoring of the bond, she replied. It's just, not usually how it develops. Bonds are typically arranged for strategic purposes. Love comes later, if at all, but this feels right. It feels right to me too. Their relationship deepened, intertwining affection with partnership. They still protected each other. Habit was hard to break, but now the protection was mutual and natural. He watched her back, she watched his. He championed her worth, she celebrated his courage. They became a unit, stronger together than either was alone. The political implications of their bond continued rippling outward. Diplomatic channels buzzed with interest. A formally recognized human-villain bond could have significant implications for species relations. When the Council of Species requested their presence at an interstellar summit, neither was surprised. "They want to use us as symbols," Kira observed as they reviewed the invitation. "Is that bad?" "It depends on what we're symbolizing. If it's that our species can connect meaningfully beyond politics, then perhaps it's good. If it's that our love is exotic entertainment, then it's insulting." They decided to attend, determined to control their narrative. The summit was held on a neutral station, attended by delegates from dozens of species. Nathan and Kira entered together, hand in hand, both wearing formal attire that blended human and Velen elements. They made a striking couple, his human features and her Velen markings, his open expression and her warrior bearing, both radiating quiet confidence. The summit leaders asked them to share their story, and they did, honestly, with humor and heart. Nathan spoke of the auction, of his impulsive compassion, of learning Velen customs. Kira spoke of her disgrace, of her expectations of rejection, of Nathan's consistent honor. They spoke of developing trust, of building partnership, of love emerging from obligation. "He didn't buy me," Kira concluded. "He freed me, not from contract but from shame. He saw worth where my people saw defect. He found beauty where they found failure. And when he said see it through, he meant it. He saw it through to love." Nathan added, "She taught me that partnership means more than contracts. That honor is about choices, not genetics. That beauty is about character, not conformity. Our bond started as accident and became intention. We chose each other, and we keep choosing each other every day." The summit's response was powerful. Younger delegates from both species expressed hope that if a human and Velen could bond so deeply, perhaps their civilizations could too. Older delegates were more cautious, but acknowledged the symbolism's value. The council formally recognized their union as a bridge between peoples, not just romantic, but cultural. They were invited to serve as human-Velen relations consultants, helping both species understand each other better. "We're diplomats now," Nathan said as they left the summit. "We're us now," Kira corrected. "They can call it whatever they want." Fair enough. Their lives evolved from that point. They established a home base, a small station in neutral space where they continued Nathan's cartography work, while Kira developed security protocols that blended human and Velen approaches. They became known as the bonded pair, their story spreading as inspiration and proof. Young Velens with chaos patterns sought out Kira, finding hope in her journey from disgrace to honored. Young humans approached Nathan, wanting to understand how to see beyond surface differences. They helped where they could, their home becoming a bridge point between cultures. And every night when work was done and the stars wheeled past their viewport, they returned to each other. "Do you ever regret it?" Kira asked one such evening, curled against him on their shared couch. "The auction, the bond, any of it?" "Never, not for 1 second." He kissed the top of her head where her silver and copper hair blended. I regret nothing. You saved me in ways beyond physical rescue. You saved me from believing I was worthless. You saved me from shame. You saved me by seeing me. I just saw what was there." "No." She turned to face him, her golden eyes serious. "You saw what no one else bothered to look for. That's different. That's rare. That's why I love you. And I love you, my beautiful, marked, brilliant bondmate." "Your wife," she corrected softly. Nathan stilled. "What?" "By human customs, our bond is equivalent to marriage, yes. Then I am your wife, and you are my husband." I like those words, wife, husband. They feel permanent. They are permanent as I can make them. "Good." She snuggled closer. "Because you bought me, Nathan Cole, you saw it through, and now you're stuck with me." Best purchase I ever made. It was your entire budget. Worth every credit." She laughed that wind chime sound he loved and kissed him deeply. Outside their viewport, two stars orbited each other in perfect harmony, bound by gravity, spinning together through the cosmos. Inside, two people from different worlds did the same, bound by choice, spinning together through life. He'd bought her freedom and found his own. She'd expected rejection and found forever. They'd started as accident and became intention. Obligation became love. Love became lifetime. And when people asked them how it worked, human and Velen, so different yet so perfectly matched, they gave the same answer. We chose each other, every day. That's the secret. The bond isn't in the purchase or the ceremony or the species. The bond is in the choosing. Nathan Cole had raised his hand at an auction to save a stranger. That stranger became his partner. His partner became his love. His love became his wife. And together they proved that the most beautiful destinations are often found on paths we never planned to take. All because he saw it through. All because she was worth seeing through. And that made all the difference.